Here are 3 reasons why your bargain roof might cost you double. Just last week, I installed a brand new roof on a home in Tinton Falls that was only 3 years old. Let me explain why this homeowner ended up paying twice for what should have been a once-in-a-generation investment. Here's what you need to know. That homeowner thought they were getting a great deal 3 years ago. The contractor's estimate was thousands less than everyone else's. They used cheap materials, rushed through the installation, and now multiple roof leaks, water damage throughout the house, and a complete roof replacement that cost far more than doing it right would have cost in the first place. After 20 years in this business and over 8,000 roofs installed across New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York, I can tell you this story isn't unique. In fact, it's becoming more common every single year. Think of it like buying a car. You wouldn't put the cheapest tires on your vehicle just to save a few $100s, knowing they could fail on the highway and put your family at risk. Your roof is the same principle, except stakes are even higher. This is important because in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, anyone can call themselves a roofing contractor. There are no apprenticeship requirements, no educational standards, just a simple license that anyone can get. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 3 specific reasons why that suspiciously low roof estimate will end up costing you double or even triple what a quality installation would have cost up front. More importantly, you'll understand the warning signs to look for, so you never become another cautionary tale like that Tinton Falls homeowner. Cheap materials create a ticking time bomb. Let me explain exactly what happens when contractors use cheap materials and why this becomes your most expensive mistake. Just as you wouldn't build on sand and expect the structure to last, you can't put inferior materials on your roof and expect proper protection. Here's what you need to know about material quality. That Tinton Falls homeowner I mentioned, their original contractor used the cheapest shingles available, and when they found rotting decking underneath, they just shingled right over it. Now, quality materials aren't just about lasting longer. They're about system integrity. Think of it like this. Proper architectural shingles, quality underlayment, and ice and water shield work together like a 3-layer defense system. Remove any one of these parts, and the entire system becomes vulnerable. The cheap contractor's approach, it's like wearing a raincoat full of holes during a storm. You might stay partially dry for a bit, but eventually, water finds every weakness. To put it simply, here's the math that will shock you. A $4,000 roof that lasts 10 years cost you $400 per year. But an $8,000 roof that lasts 30 years, that's just $267 per year. The expensive roof is actually 33% cheaper when you look at the real cost of ownership. This means that when a contractor gives you that rock bottom estimate, they're not magically more efficient. They're cutting corners on something that you won't see until it's too late. What this tells us is that proper materials, quality architectural shingles with a 30-year warranty, synthetic underlayment, high-quality ice and water shield around all penetrations aren't optional extras. They're the difference between a roof that protects your home for decades and one that becomes your biggest headache within 3 years. The peace of mind that comes from knowing your roof has quality materials throughout, that's not something you can put a price on, especially when the next storm rolls through New Jersey. The hidden disaster of poor installation. Here's something that might surprise you. In our industry, the installation quality matters even more than the materials themselves. Let me explain why this is such a critical issue for homeowners. The key thing to understand is that roofing installation is like surgery for your home. You wouldn't want someone operating on you just because they watched some medical videos and bought a scalpel, right? Yet that's exactly what's happening in the roofing industry every single day. In New Jersey and Pennsylvania, the licensing requirements are minimal. There are no apprenticeships required and no educational standards to meet. This means that the person giving you that bargain-priced estimate might have very little or even no experience at all. Think of proper installation like assembling a complex puzzle where every piece must fit perfectly. A quality installation means every shingle is nailed with exactly 6 nails in precisely the right spot. Not 4, not 5, but 6, positioned according to manufacturer specifications. It means proper flashing around every chimney, vent, and wall. These are the metal pieces that direct water away from vulnerable areas. Starter strips along the eaves and rake edges. The installation of drip edge and ridge venting that follows exact specifications. Here's what happens with a cheap installation. They'll use 4 nails instead of 6 to save time and materials. They'll skip the starter strips because no one will see them anyway. They'll improperly install the flashing instead of following the proper requirements. In other words, they're creating dozens of potential failure points that won't show up immediately, but will definitely show up eventually. I've seen these mistakes happen over and over again when inexperienced workers try to install a roof. This is important because those roof leaks that arise from poor installation aren't just about water dripping into your living room. Water is insidious. It finds its way into your attic insulation, reducing its effectiveness and driving up your energy bills. It seeps into your walls, creating the perfect environment for mold growth. It damages structural components that you can't even see. What starts as a small leak becomes structural damage, mold remediation, drywall replacement, and potentially tens of thousands in repairs. After installing over 8,000 roofs, I can spot poor installation from across the street. Wavy shingle lines, improper exposure, and sloppy flashing details. These are the signs of a rushed job by an inexperienced crew. The peace of mind that comes from proper installation by experienced professionals, that's the difference between sleeping soundly during storms and lying awake wondering if your ceiling is about to cave in. And by the way, if you want to see exactly what proper installation looks like and get a professional assessment of your roof's current condition, we offer free inspections for homeowners in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Just click the link in the description below to schedule yours. The compounding cost of cutting corners. Now let me show you the real financial impact of choosing that cheap roofing estimate. And these are actual numbers from jobs I've seen firsthand. Here's what most homeowners don't realize. When a cheap roof fails, it doesn't fail quietly. It creates a cascade of problems that multiply your costs exponentially. Think of it like ignoring a check engine light in your car. What starts as a simple fix can lead to major problems if you wait too long. Let me break down the real numbers from actual situations I've encountered. Original cheap roof installation, $8,000. Seems like a great deal compared to the $12,000 quality estimate, right? But here's what happens next. First leak repair after 6 months, $800. Second leak repair after a year, $1,200. Water damage to ceilings and walls, $3,500. Mold remediation when they finally discover what's been happening in the attic, $4,000. Emergency tarping during a storm, $500. Complete roof replacement after just 3 years, $13,000. Total cost, $30,500. That savings of $4,000 turned into an extra expense of $18,500. This means that you're not just paying more, you're paying more while dealing with the stress, disruption, and potential health hazards of water damage and mold. In other words, you're paying a premium for a worse experience. But here's what really gets expensive: the energy efficiency factor. Cheap roofing systems often lack proper ventilation. Poor ventilation leads to ice dams in winter, premature shingle failure in summer, and higher energy bills year-round. Over the life of a roof, inadequate ventilation can cost you thousands in additional utility bills. What this tells us is that there's an old saying in the roofing industry: you can pay me now or you can pay me later, but you're going to pay me. Quality roofing work will happen eventually. Either you invest in it up front with proper materials and installation, or you'll be forced to invest in it after the cheap work fails. Plus, pay for all the additional damage. When you choose quality installation with experienced contractors, you're not just buying a roof. You're buying 25 to 30 years of protection with minimal maintenance. Compare that to cheap installations that need major repairs every 3 to 5 years, and the math becomes crystal clear. So remember, that cheap roofing estimate isn't saving you money. It's setting you up for a much more expensive problem down the road. Quality materials, proper installation, and experienced contractors cost more upfront because they deliver more value over the long term. The peace of mind you get from a properly installed roof using quality materials, that represents the real value of your investment. The next time you're comparing roofing estimates, don't just look at the bottom line. Look at the materials specified. Ask about installation methods, and verify the contractor's actual experience. Your roof is too important to gamble with. After all, it's the one thing standing between your family and everything Mother Nature can throw at it. But knowing these warning signs is only half the battle. Your roof protects everything you've worked for. Don't trust it to just anyone. I'm John Kabarakis, and I'll see you in my next video.